Happy 2025, HubSpot Nation. Uh, Welcome in to a special episode of Let's Build. I got to start the new year off with a live stream of some sort. So I figured what better way to do that than to jump in on all of the trends, predictions, uh, whatever you want to call them. Today, I'm calling them revelations. What do we think is going to happen in 2025? So thanks for joining. And I guess this is what preparation looks like for me. I've got some slides, got some cool stuff, uh, some cool concepts, I think, to show. And, I've been having fun with Gamma and AI and getting help from putting a little bit of polish on things. So, a little bit of a different spin on today's episode. Because I think it's a big deal. I think there's change coming, significant change coming in 2025. Um, so that's what I want to get into today. Now, 5 revelations specifically that I think are truly going to transform the way that we operate in this ecosystem, the way that we create value for each other, for the users, customers, everybody involved. I don't think these are predictions either. And so if you're saying, um, you know, calm down, calm down, buddy. Uh, I get it. But I asked my friend Claude to help me say, like, oh, okay, what if somebody says I'm being dramatic? And this is what he had to say. Uh, Revelations are different from predictions. Prediction tries to guess what might happen in the future. A revelation uncovers something that's already true, but hidden from common view. When we talk about these 5 revelations for 2025, I don't believe I'm making guesses. I'm just illuminating patterns that are already emerging for those who know where to look. Uh, think about it like this: when Galileo pointed his telescope at Jupiter and saw its moons, he wasn't predicting their existence. He was revealing something that had always been there, but previously hidden from view. Similarly, these revelations about the HubSpot ecosystem aren't predictions of what might happen, but we're just bringing to light transformations already in motion. My role today is just to reveal them for you. Hopefully, you can recognize them in your own experience and get in on it. There's still so much blue ocean for people to find value in this ecosystem. It's exploding for good reason, but we need to build some infrastructure to support all this growth. Um, so, of course, we're going to start with maybe something that might be more of a wish or just as much a wish as a revelation. I think I'm just putting a name to a face that we all know. Um, Revelation number 1: leaders will break free from lead addiction. So, as you can see by the picture, I'm not going to stop being dramatic. Um, First, tell you what I mean by this, and then get into how I went kind of hog wild last weekend with my AI friends, trying to understand why I dislike the word leads so much and everything it stands for. Um, Breaking free from lead addiction. And I'm testing out this new presentation style uh, from Gamma. Pretty cool tool. Highly recommend it. Um, so I don't think it should be a surprise that like it's getting harder and harder to find quick wins and um, hack the system, like Google Ads, all the different ways that we would try to sneak our way into relationships with customers to get them to buy. It's just different. It's changing. All those old tactics are worse than ever before. Um, but it's hard for big organizations, big moving ships to turn it around. So I think practitioner-led revolution is already here to some extent. And that's individuals getting their hands dirty, showing, showing and telling versus just um, throwing lead gen campaigns at you. Uh, this allows for focus on authentic connections, right? That create genuine value. So I think there's going to be a huge transformation here, but won't come from the top down. It's going to come from the bottom up. All these people spending time creating relationships, all these individuals that have the time, as my friend Christopher Nault mentioned a couple days ago. It's where it's going to start. It's already starting. Um, and this is the idea that we don't like this industrial age thinking of a database that flows people through like their numbers and not humans, right? It's not working anymore. Um, that being said, HubSpot's going to continue moving up market towards enterprise, which is built based on this premise. Uh, uh, it would be definitely a wish if I thought like enterprise infrastructure was going to move away from lead gen within the next year. But I think everybody else can. Um, there's a space, being created for smaller mid market businesses to connect. They're the ones that take time, that make the time to do it on LinkedIn. Sometimes it's their last resort. Sometimes they just see the writing on the wall, and but like any recovery process, breaking free from lead addiction isn't just about stopping old behaviors. It's about building healthier systems for relationship development. Uh, what if you weren't always chasing the next lead and you could actually focus on creating genuine value? What a world that would be. It's already happening on LinkedIn. Um, those founder led posts and the people just bringing value to the feed every day, they're already seeing results. Um, and I can guarantee you they're not doing this while on some kind of hamster wheel. Um, creating content can feel uh, maybe a little close sometimes, but it's just for different reasons. Showing up every day is can be challenging, but it's never for me. It never feels like it's for the wrong reasons. Whereas if I'm just trying to hit lead numbers or KPIs, never feels good. Haven't met anybody that says it feels good. Now I got here. Um, been working on a new framework, and but I keep running into this usage of the word leads, and now everything's based on this concept of lead generation. And I was like, where did that come from? Where did that really start? Uh, so so I asked, I was like, when did that start? I realize I'm blocking the screen here, so let me just adjust this for now. And it led me to this, what I felt was like discovering gravity. Um, the gravity of why we're not able to change, I guess. Three B2B traps, industrial logic in digital systems. Number one, the lead object. The lead object. Separating potential customers, quote unquote, leads from established relationships, quote unquote, contacts, encoded industrial age thinking into digital infrastructure. And this happened with Salesforce in 1995. Basically, thinking of these as database objects, you cannot operate in a way that maybe you understand how the customer relationship works, but you literally, your KPIs don't match with that, right? We're doing lead gen instead of connecting with people. We're trying to convert everybody instead of having conversations, right? So this leads us to the second trap, qualification trap. What are we gonna do with all these leads? We got such a high volume. Great job, everybody. They all filled out the form. Okay, we're gonna need some people. We're gonna need some resources. Let's buy some systems. That'll qualify everything for us. That'll make it okay. Salesforce has something like 1 million leads. I don't know how recent that article was, but 1 million leads a year. So it creates the need for an SDR team and all these people, like just adding to the process. So investing heavily in qualifying things that could develop naturally if we let them. I was just ecstatic to put a name to this face. This stuff we're feeling all over the place right now. And being able to frame it up like this was super helpful for me. And I'm definitely going to be talking about it all of 2025. I think most of the bright, shiny future that we can show people, it's always astounded me at how like that reality can be slapping leaders in the face and they feel like they cannot move because of this traditional infrastructure. And because they're invested, right? You can't just, I mean, some companies do, but you can't, it's harder to just get rid of large teams of SDRs once you realize, okay, maybe that's not the right way to be doing business. You know, if you're invested in software that's done it for you, right? Removing that investment is hard. So the systemic issue, right, leads us to, I don't know if it's my least favorite, but they're all, I mean, this might be the most detrimental one, also probably the hardest one to unravel, and I think AI is going to do this job for us. And that is the managed services trap. Organizations turn to managed services and customization spiral, creating the dependency on external experts because we're like, oh, we got to do all this stuff to support controlling the process and managing the data and making sure it's clear and supporting all these people that need to have these touch points internally. So we rely on managed services without, you know, making sense of the process first and create all this customization that needs to be managed. And I can tell you the best the best HubSpot portals are managed by the internal teams. Like the whole point of investing in HubSpot when you're doing it right is that you can accomplish most of what you need through configuration. And when you can do that through no code, low code solutions like HubSpot, all of a sudden you create the space for internal teams to do this much more efficiently. I'm not talking systems administrator teams. I'm not talking several Salesforce admins and IT admins, right? That's not what I'm talking about here. It's marketing leaders, it's sales leaders, it's RevOps. Um, it's founders, people that can get in there. They have the knowledge in their head. They have the process in their head of how this stuff works. When you can ignite their ability, they already learn complex systems. They've had to use shit like QuickBooks and their hard to use ERP systems for years. They can figure out how to use HubSpot, right? And until they stop delegating it to an outside vendor or to, the whoever's idea it was to get HubSpot, like we've just got to do better. But it's a trap. It's a huge trap. And because we've been focused on that, especially leads, like still it's painful to know that most everybody thinks HubSpot is for marketing and sales only. Meanwhile, the space that is the handoff between sales and post sales, that experience has been atrocious forever. Even though you've never seen one growth strategy that didn't include your customers are the best source of revenue, the easiest money. They should cost the least to gain more business from. Yet these systems have never been connected well. There is a clear separation between revenue management and customer management when you're actually using CRMs well, right? If you're not using CRMs well, you've got to do the revenue management. So that's happening in the ERP, and you're struggling to connect with customers because ERPs aren't built to communicate with anybody externally. They barely do it well internally. So if we can back up from those traps and get rid of that addiction, the revenue experience is going to take center stage. And you can see sales operations and customer success here um, as a big part of this. But what do I mean by this? Because we're still talking in terms of HubSpot here. And why is this revelation and not some flighty prediction? Um, HubSpot acquired Cashflow in October for CPQ and B2B billing management. This is real. Like that functionality is coming in to HubSpot. And as we're all fans of the crafted, not cobbled approach, we can anticipate it will come in a way that is built in, that is crafted in. It will not feel like a different system. Integrated as an offering within Commerce Hub over time, right? Anybody who's been trying to do revenue management in HubSpot has had a tough time, to say the least. Definitely not built to be a revenue management system, which means in order to do this stuff well, the revenue infrastructure must change. I remember when payment links came out, and I could do all these things like making things optional and you know uh, adding like little counters. People could say how much they wanted of the thing. They could add their own price. They could just check out very easily, right? And then I talked to people. I was like, why can't I? If you could do that with payment links, why can't I do that on a quote? And that's what I learned. There's a different infrastructure that quotes and line items were originally built on. And it's very hard to This is what I was told. It's very hard to develop away from that without a complete redesign. Well, in my opinion, that's usually what happens when HubSpot is acquiring somebody. They're going to do it a lot for either the infrastructure or the audience. In this case, infrastructure. So I'm super excited to see that, uh, come to fruition. And I'm going to do whatever I can to help facilitate it as quickly as possible, which means like me as one person, like educating the hell out of the ecosystem that again, like, yes, we got customer success workspace, but when you think about resell, cross sell, upsell goals, almost every company has them, but they have failed to turn their attention successfully away from new business, lead generation, because the infrastructure hasn't been there, because the quote to cash process is almost never optimized. The systems aren't connected. The CRMs, they show us a specific picture of the revenue. It's not the full picture. Therefore, leaders and finance teams have to go outside, have to use another system, usually their accounting or ERP, to get that picture. That means like, oh, all right, sales and marketing, go, play in your CRM. The real revenue data is over here, right? No longer the case in 2025. Um, Post sales as first class citizens in the HubSpot platform. And to put that in perspective, there is a great post from Allison from the Commerce Hub team. 2024 Commerce Hub in review. Can I make this a little bigger? I can. It's a big year for Commerce Hub. It certainly was. And by the way, at Inbound, partner day at Inbound, Brian Halligan said, watch out for Commerce Hub in 2025 or over the next year. And I mean, you got to take notice of when the co-founder says things like that, right? So what happened in Commerce Hub, if you haven't been paying attention, which most of you have not, invoices, record payments manually on invoices, default comments, add recurring products, multiple tax IDs, partial payments, edit open invoices, custom invoice fields, set default email to send invoices from, option to customize the invoice title, attach PDFs to email, accounts receivable reporting dashboard, delete unpaid invoice, include shipping address on invoices, automated email reminders, recurring invoices for subscriptions, just for invoices. Okay. Now, is this going to replace your accounting system? No, but is it a hell of a lot better place to communicate with customers so that they don't fall into the 90-day collections list? Bet your ass it is. Payments, multi-currency support, Stripe payment processing, all these local payment processing methods, disconnect and reconnect, new collect payment action on payments, view estimated payout and deposit date for payments, store a payment method for future charges, quotes, we've got payment schedules, accounting integrations, two-way syncs, QuickBooks Online, taxes, apply taxes on line items, and a public beta automated sales tax collection on invoices with Commerce Hub. And there is no better example of companies have not had the tools they've needed to handle a revenue experience well internally or externally, than Avalara as a tax software. Probably the most painful projects I've ever seen in two cases, right? Small sample size, I know, but when you understand how the ERP ecosystem works, it's like, of course, they don't care about the user experience at all. So this is powerful. And Commerce Objects Read API. This API provides programmatic access to core Commerce Hub data objects, including invoices, subscriptions, and payments to seamlessly query and retrieve data from key Commerce Hub objects. Let's talk about the data model for a hot minute, right? This is ultimately why we can do all this stuff. We can create a 360-degree picture of the customer now because we have the revenue data in there. We have a space for it, which means we can get pretty damn close to a complete revenue picture, a unified revenue picture. That's where cash flow is going to play a huge role. That infrastructure shift, it's going to be more than just the Commerce Hub objects that we saw. Of course, we've got the core business objects here, contact and company, deals and quotes. These are the things everybody stops when you ask what objects are available in HubSpot. This is it, right? And most people, I mean, the quote is a different kind of objects in this case, but like deal, company, contact, that's it. Maybe they understand tickets exists, right? But in reality, we've got this now. We've got an order object that I expect to be fully fleshed out with this transformation. Got payment object, invoice object, cart object, product, line item, deliverables, not native, but maybe they will be in 2025. That was almost a bonus revelation. But we've got a service object now. Still got the ticket object. Marketing event object is coming along. Course object, appointment object. Together with the listing object came with object library in September. Most people still don't know these things exist. The point is that there is a place that looks just like the rest of HubSpot to manage your post-sales data. That gives you unified revenue experience and handles, this gap that's just been there forever, which is the handoff between what's sold and what's delivered. What good is a CPQ that gets really good at handling approvals and configurations if you're just making the person run through all the same questions after they click buy? It's not good. It's a revenue experience. It's quote to cash. This experience that we're talking about optimizing is important. Revelation number 3. Content as an infrastructure becomes the norm. Chris, we've been doing content for years. We know it's important. I'm not talking about that. Like content first, everything. Like content first, marketing. Content first, sales. Content first, success. Content first, leadership. Like content has to be built in to the process. I've learned so much in 2024 doing Let's Build Media. And for those who are unfamiliar, started on March 18th, a couple months after my first appearance on the admin hug, where the admin hug had been showing like when product managers and HubSpot teams are getting surprised while they're doing a webinar because the platform is changing so often. There's so many updates. Imagine trying to do a big event, like 4 weeks of planning where you're using this is how you do it in HubSpot, this is the interface, and then it changes, right? So instead of like trying to control it, you accept it. You just go live, right? You don't hold back because you're worried about that happening. All the work that you put into the on demand how to, and then they change the navigation. Are you going to put in the work to redo it when they change it? Or are you more likely to just not do it in the first place? Or you can embrace, right? So March 18th, I couldn't get myself to do the on demand stuff. So I just started press and play on LinkedIn Lives. And for me personally, discovering content creator mode was a revelation in itself for me. Like to be able to bring that kind of value, in a way that I hadn't found yet was so much fun and satisfying. And I'm really proud of what it's become. Because what it has become is a lot of content, different content than what you usually find out there. So we've got all these playlists. I won't belabor the point, but all these great people started collaborating in July. Starting in July, just ask people, hey, who'd show up once a week with me and start sharing some knowledge. A lot of people shown up. We're up to 12 or 13 regular, shows. It's been rough for me not to be creating anything over the holiday. That's why I'm here. And you might have been saying, like, what the hell, Chris? It's New Year's Day. Like, take some time off. I've taken time off. Like George likes to say, I go to play, not to work. Like, um, so really proud of this. And one of the keys, and almost everybody, it took them one try to understand, like the no prep. Like, if you're going on every day, every week, you can't do webinar style prep. That's not going to work, right? So that's where you build the process. All of us focused on was building the space for it. I could have done way more optimization if you focus on one show. And yeah, maybe the YouTube's doing a lot better for a specific number of shows. But at the beginning, if I added 5 more minutes to the process, I wouldn't have done it. Like, the videos don't get made. The content doesn't get made. The knowledge doesn't get shared. Right. So building it into the infrastructure of the go to market of the customer team is a requirement. It's critical. As I got started, nobody disagreed with the fact that we needed 10 more Kyle Jepsons inside of HubSpot. We need 100 more outside of HubSpot, right? This living system, a true ecosystem, sharing knowledge in the same way that Kyle does, right? But he's one dude. I don't know what the updates number was exactly. I think it was over 1,200 or 1,300 for 2024. It was definitely 800-ish in 2023. Kyle's one dude, 365 days. He takes some time off. Math doesn't work. Okay. So more people have to step up. And the only way to do it at the volume and cadence required is to create this living experience, this live experience, where you also bring down these perfectionist tendencies. because everybody's got it. Like, there's no shortage of expertise to be shared, right? Half the time it's like, hey, let's talk about this post that you did. You already did the work to make the post. You got playbooks. You know what you're talking about. That's why we don't need to prep, right? So let's just talk about something you're passionate about. Hopefully it relates to the HubSpot ecosystem, but not a requirement. And let's build. That's the whole premise. Once you start to do that, it's just this enablement has been so gratifying to watch other experts that were not showing up in this way be able to build the confidence and start showing up on their own, has been something special. And we're going to take it to the next level. Like, there's, I mean, I've been one guy. I've tried to support as much as I could. I've been on all the shows, right? Now it's about how to scale beyond me. And we think we figured that out. And it's going to be a very exciting year. But I don't expect to be alone in that, because there's lots of people who have started showing up differently with LinkedIn newsletters, native videos on LinkedIn instead of just the YouTube how to's, right? So a lot of people have stepped up and it's been fun to watch. Um, but it's fundamental. As the platform grows, as it becomes more complex, as it becomes a complete platform, the internal team, they don't have the resources they need. And we can only count on them for the product, black and white. This is what HubSpot does, right? Kyle's videos. They can't be responsible for the applied versions. This is what it's like in manufacturing, in financial services, in for nonprofit. That's where the ecosystem comes in, right? And that's the struggle. Again, we come back to this trap of number one, where if you go and look at most agency websites, there's always a lead gen case study to find, right? That's not the content that we need. We need the rest of the platform to be seen. Revelation number 4. Content might actually serve AI better than anything else we're talking about. It's certainly a requirement. And either way, we continue to see these tools be developed. So revelation number 4, AI becomes your natural interface. So why is this revelation and not prediction? We've already seen Breeze Copilot, your AI powered assistant inside of HubSpot. People are already getting help with workflows, almost everything across the platform, right? Just open up the sidebar and get in there. We know this AI agents world of AI being able to do tasks. We've seen agent.ai, Dharmesh's network of agents, his baby. It's been fun to watch that come to pass. But all of this is in an effort to achieve natural language interaction, because that actually supports the human condition, the way that's easiest for us to do work, right? Instead of us needing to learn the systems and configure everything and customize everything, I believe that by the end of 2025, HubSpot will be a chat interface only, almost only, right? For the users. Like, just imagine if it was just like GPT or Claude, and the only way to interact with the system was through chat, right? Obviously, that's going to come from trust and well designed software, but that's where everybody's going. It's where the first 3 elements, as long as you have this lead gen mindset and like, stop forcing your shitty prospecting strategies on your AI bots. But that's why they're not working. It's not because the AI sucks. It's because the strategy doesn't work. Like, of course, your random emails showing up every day, it's not going to start a conversation. Nobody's trying to start a conversation in their emails. So yeah, at some point, I expect AI to be like, get the hell out of here. Like, we're not doing that. This is how you're going to connect. This is how we could connect. You've got the content over here, right? I'm going to send it to them like this. Right? We're going to show up on LinkedIn, whatever, right? Why wouldn't we accept like this loss of control? Obviously, is at the center of all this. But if you could just show up and say, "Hey, hey, HubSpot, I want to engage with my top 10 customers today," and that's it. That's the prompt, and it can just maybe it shows you a list. Maybe it starts the call right there. It sets up 5 phone calls with people that like to be talked to on the phone. It sets up 3 video calls for those people. Maybe it sets up some in-person appointments, right? We suck at that part. We've shown it, right? So let's not keep sucking at it. Let's let AI make things so much easier. Let it figure out how to configure the database and the data model and the processes, right? It's coming, right? I don't think it's past this year. Like we're already seeing plenty of reasons to believe this will be here. Um, and if you could have that, why wouldn't you? Right? That's where this revenue infrastructure is so important. Like that is waiting for trusted infrastructure to be able to provide that. Obviously, if the interface right now can't give me a group report of revenue based on orders and invoices and subscriptions and deals, right? AI is not going to be able to do it. Not yet. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, um, this other acquisition at the end of last year, right? But this is ultimately kind of the nail in that coffin of yes, this is where we're going to get to with AI. Framed at AI, leading customer platform for no, that's HubSpot. Frame AI, and AI powered conversation intelligence platform. Frame AI's technology transforms unstructured data such as emails, calls, meetings, and conversations into real time insights and actionable recommendations, enabling businesses to anticipate customer needs and deliver exceptional experiences to their customers and to their external customers and their internal customers, right? The internal customers, so much of that post sales team, so much of the effort is being lifted off their shoulders with this, right? If the data is in the system, half the reason the experience has sucked is because it's so hard to see it, to remember where it is, to trust that it's correct, right? So please, like, rejoice that AI is going to come solve this for you because you've proven not to be able to do it. So very exciting to see this. It's a big reason why we're going to get here because that's the kind of stuff that's needed. That unstructured data, being able to look at it and give, trustworthy answers and response is a big part of this voice interface, natural language interface that we're talking about. Revelation number 5. A value first ecosystem renaissance. What the hell does that mean, Chris? Um, Played around with this last word, renaissance. I wanted to get there because it's not a revolution. It's it's something that's always existed. And the reason that most people like this ecosystem is that there is a feeling of, in most cases, at least as I grew up in it, all the stuff that I felt when I was in other ecosystems, especially Salesforce, where I knew that I started to learn at the end of the conversation, there was going to be a quote to sign and nothing was for free, ever. No piece of advice came with- came without strings, money strings. When I got into HubSpot, man, when you can just remove that whole vetting part, where I know the person talking to me, if they're ride or die HubSpot, I know they're in it for me. They're in it for me to win. They're in it for the customer. Literally grow better. If we could just accept that as the mantra and everything that those two words mean, life gets easier. As I said at the jump, it's hard for the big moving ships to change. And that's where, when there's so much going towards this tiering program based ecosystem, meanwhile, the customer base is exploding, over 200,000 customers, I think over 230 now, 230,000. Onboardings all the time, right? We got to treat it like a factory. And when all the leads are coming in as lead gen, doesn't matter how much of HubSpot you bought. Onboarding is definitely covering lead gen. What if I don't? That was just a piece. I want to build my whole business on it. It's like, well, sorry, we're focused on lead gen. That's all you said you wanted. You can find another agency that understands the rest of the platform, or you can find individuals, right? And I want to say, like, this rise of individual experts, this is something for me started early in the year last year. And once my once my role in all this started to change in June, as it went from a co-partner to individual, like, I realized, if I don't want to play the game of points because it's not in the best interest of the customers, there's a bunch of people who don't need to buy more HubSpot, and they can build stuff themselves. They just don't know what to build and why. But you remove those two things, and managed points and sold points out the window. Most of my pipeline is from cleanup efforts, is from, I want to use the rest of the platform that I already have, coming from smart people. They just don't know HubSpot can do post sale stuff, for example. Right. And I get it. It's hard. It's impossible to keep up. I don't even keep up. I started doing the daily show. I was getting surprised every day. Going to be getting back to that morning show tomorrow. Wake up with customer platform. But so this space, right? Like, this movement towards enterprise and, you know, handling all these customers. I understand why that program is set up like that with the tiering. We need more and more help. And I hope that we're not just waiting for all these Salesforce agencies to come over and save the day, because you're not going to. If they do, it's going to be a rough ride because it's not the same. And I don't even think managed services in the way that it's been done is viable past 2026. It's another, like, AI is just going to solve for stuff like that. If it doesn't make sense, it's not going to continue happening. So there's this space, right? Mentioned it earlier, but this, at some point I suggested like a HubSpot coach kind of thing, where it's like, you just add it, like, this whole layer of strategic coaching needed to support the HubSpot team and all the partners doing work, right? Nobody can keep up with the platform anywhere. So get resource quarterbacks in the game, like get coaches in the game that can start to connect the dots much better than the current resource stack is, right? And individual experts are much better and have much more agility and flexibility to niche down and get really serious about stuff, specific pieces of the platform, right? And that shifts how the value flows, right? So we need it because there's less than 10,000. I don't know what the partner number is now, less than 10,000, right? 5,000 ish HubSpot employees. I don't know how many of them are customer facing. Over 200,000 customers. That's going to outpace. We want if HubSpot's doing their job, the ecosystem's doing their job, that number should outpace the support infrastructure numbers. But the gap is way too large right now. And individual experts have had a hard time being found, but it's getting easier. Again, starts to connect to all these other things. And if you know that HubSpot is a chat interface, coaching and strategy support and that kind of intangible stuff, being able to help people ask the right questions, like that's going to be at a premium. So I'm excited to see this and be a part of this. Honestly, I have some stake in that game, um, but it's something that's already happening, and it's going to be an exciting year, right? And this drive towards authenticity, right? Not as a buzzword, but as real impact. It's going to come from showing the work, right? Showing and telling. Just getting into HubSpot. Some of my favorite episodes are unboxing HubSpot stuff. With people, you just get in there and figure things out because you know the system's not going to fall apart. If you're an app partner, we just and you say it's plug and play, we're gonna test it live. We're gonna see if it's plug and play. And doing that shows all of these aspects of HubSpot that are completely different from every other system, right? But we gotta show it. We gotta show the work, right? And I get it. It's hard for agencies to do that because everything's got to be billable, blah, blah, blah. So keep doing that stuff. Still needs to get done to some regard. And leave some space. Like accept that there is space there. Don't expect HubSpot to do it. Their teams are focused on other things, other KPIs. So let's fill in the strategy gap with individual experts. So all these connected together, build on each other, right? We can break free from this lead addiction. We can focus on the rest of the process, especially when new business comes from the customer base. Like, why are we so focused on leads? I shared why earlier, and I'm going to continue sharing why. Educational infrastructure becomes essential. AI becomes your natural interface. Just look at how these build on each other. I mean, it's only revelatory because we see HubSpot in a certain light as a marketing and sales tool or a sales CRM. That's like sales CRM is one of my least favorite phrases. And it's one of the biggest reasons why people get CRM wrong. It's like, oh, it's just for sales. No. The rest of your business needs to manage relationships too, especially your post-sales team. So of course, they need to be in your customer relationship management tool. It's not just for sales. So this stuff's already happening. Uh, so let's build, right? Let's see these patterns. I'm hoping that I've helped you identify them here today. Contribute. It's okay to focus on something other than lead gen. Please give yourself and your teams permission to start challenging the status quos. Maybe give some value, even though you can't measure the hell out of it. Embrace authentic expertise. HubSpot is rarely one, two, three, four, done. Stop making videos like that. Show some of the messy. That's authentic HubSpot. That's daily HubSpot. And start using AI for the love of God. Start leveraging it. Wake up to it. Please. Like it's so powerful if you let it in. There's a learning curve, just like any other tool. But you've got to learn it. There's no option here. Like companies that have gotten away with not adopting CRM because they've got journeyman sales guy who are great, best in the business usually at maintaining and building relationships. It's no longer an option. No. Start using AI so that you can give your whole team space to be humans, to be good humans, and create value with other good humans. So come on in. Like I said, blue ocean, lots of opportunity, but not, there's no tricks here. There's no easy buttons. The easy buttons get generated along the way when you've done this work, when you use these tools, and the resulting the result of what happens when you hit the easy button is actually a slam dunk. It's not some 64 team uh, playoff bracket that you now have to go through. Like, good job, you got in. You won the playing in game, right? Just imagine if you win that game and then the title's yours. Like that's what that's what we're building here. That's what AI allows you to build here. That's what doing the educational work allows for. It's what HubSpot as a full platform allows for. So I hope this was helpful. This was really fun for me, and thank you for indulging me. Uh, like I said, I've got to say Happy New Year, Happy 2025 via a live stream, and I'm looking forward to the journey with everybody. Still haven't figured out a. Do I need to figure out a different ending phrase? I don't know, but I've shared a bunch of stuff here, 5 different revelations. Uh, Take a look, ask questions, uh, find that opportunity, and let's grow in 2025. Have a great year, everybody.